is back on the ground. Well, right now she's on a stand, but I'll show you her on the ground in a second. Yeah, everything's working awesome. She's ready to get back to development. So thanks for showing up again. Like, share, and subscribe, and let's get to work. So currently I do not have my MP3 player installed because I'm reprinting the holder. I had to make a slight change for the new DF Mini Pro version that I'm using. It'll be backwards compatible. You guys will be welcome to stick with the one you have or get the Pro. Let's see if she can stand up without falling off this little platform I have her on. Whoop! Straight up, Nova. Good girl. So there we are. She's back on her feet. I'm very excited. I'll show you that she can still do all of her cool little moves. Obviously, I can't do much without a remote, but... and then, yeah, I'm going to show you a couple of other things in this video. Should be a quick video. But yeah, like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching, and let's just take a look at a few things. Hey guys, Nova's back. So, no remote, but I can execute a few commands to show that she's back and walking. I have to be careful because my platform's a little small here. She can easily step right off. But we can show a few of her walking moves and such. Yeah, maybe not that one so easy. I tell you guys, I was doing this yesterday on the stand, and I threw her into a test move that sent her arms forward, knocked my power supply over, she fell off the stand. It was a nightmare, so be really careful when you're playing around with these moves, that nothing is within her arm reach, because if she smacks it, she's pretty damn strong, and she'll send it for a roll, so. But yeah, there we go, she's back up and running all. I'm very happy to see that. She's got no remote yet, but she will. Well, that looks kind of sexual, huh? Happy Sunday morning as he crashes his background. So there you go. She's back in business here. Yes, guys. That is almost all Nova plastic. Yes, there's probably a few brackets and such that were home projects that are not Nova, but trust me when I say 90% of it is Nova. Some failed prints, some that we redesigned. Some that were just a little ugly and I wasn't happy with them. I think covers I probably have the most of. That was quite a project, especially the days of the battery compartment. God, that was obnoxious, wasn't it? Heavy too. Stand pieces, a couple of different designs. This was the old stand, who unfortunately, yes, just ended up in the scrap pile. That's how it goes. Leg designs, brackets, and look at even the remote. From its iterations all the way through. I mean, for all those who don't know, yes, designing, especially in DIY mode, is a lot of work, a lot of plastic, a lot of time. So, I'm sure you guys appreciate this project that much more after seeing this mess. There have been some ideas about what to do with all of this. I've seen a lot of home grinding up and filament makers, and yeah, it all seems to be too much work, guys. I mean, I definitely don't want to just throw this in the dumpster, but it's not worth the time. I mean, all told, what would I get out of this? 2 rolls of filament, maybe? So, someday I'll find something to do with it, or find a group of little kids to build a couple of robots with. I mean, if we look really close in here, it's pretty funny. I even have the mini Nova I started to build at one point. There's pieces of that one in here too. Pretty crazy. So anyway, guys, there you go. That's the filament we used designing Nova. So this is something I want to mention. I'm not going to take my cover off right now, but I just want to explain that if you are building Nova, with our new 3D model assembly that Jordan graciously put together for us, definitely follow his model. If you refer to my videos and look at my videos and compare them to the model, you'll often see things that are, hey Chris, what went on here? Why is this orientated that way when the video, the assembly shows it differently? Go by the assembly. Jordan even took the time to mark almost all parts. They'll have a T and F and arrows and such designating top, front, inside of Nova. We have a legend that defines them all. Not that there's that many, but it's easy enough to follow along. Yeah, so in my design process, in my playing around, you saw the pile of PLA. There have been a lot of things that I've decided to change, or even, honestly, yes, I screw up on my own and put something 180 degrees different, like in this case. So this is Jordan's new cover, where he relocated the PIR sensors for us, made these holes better, did the two-piece design better with a nice clasp under there, which you cannot see. But when I went to assemble it on my version of Nova, inside here, my chassis, my electronics are 180 degrees from his assembly view, which is how it should be. So I'm just mentioning this because I want everybody to follow his assembly view. And yes, you can refer to my videos, but be very careful about orientation of some things. I tend to just throw stuff around any way I want sometimes, apparently, and screw things up. I've done it with framework, I've done it with the body, I've even done it with legs left and right once. So yeah, my videos are awesome, but please rely on all the work that Jordan did with the 3D model assembly view for your assembly. And of course, you can and should always join Discord server if you are building Nova, because a lot of people offer a lot of help in there, so you can get answers on a lot of things if I'm not around to answer. In one of my previous videos, a long time ago when I was still working on her, you guys may have remembered that I ended up having to add spacers under this cover to actually lift it up a good, I think it was 10 millimeters or maybe even more, to make room for all the wiring and such. Well, as you can see, all gone. It fits back perfectly like it should, the cover. No need for spacers. That's the one good thing. Next is, look at how beautiful our wiring is going here, guys. Since now in the cover all we have are the 3 PIR sensors, good to go there. Just 2 JSTs. You could do 1 if you want. I kept power separate from the sensors themselves. And while we're here, you can look at that cool little mechanism that Jordan put together for us. Rather than just gluing the 2 pieces of the lid together, now you have this cool little clasp just with 2 screws and bolts. Sorry, 2 bolts and nuts hold it together. And then those other 2 nuts that you see there are holding this PIR sensor holder on top. So that's awesome. And then yeah, our wiring is clean as a whistle. The only thing that looks a little messy right now is my NRF module. I just have this piece of foam here just to keep it in place and from touching anything metal. But honestly, I think it's probably going to just, yeah, find itself a nice little nook like that and stay there. I do kind of want it near the edges so that there are plenty of spaces here for the communication to not be obstructed by anything. I'm pretty new with using these, so I'm not really sure what kind of obstructions or things could cause interference, but I guess we'll find out. In my tests, I took the remote and walked around the house, and I couldn't really get, I wouldn't say out of line of sight of it, but if I turned too many corners or went into different rooms, it was a problem. But I estimate that we'll get about 30 feet range out of it, which I think should be suffice. I mean, I don't plan to be that far away from Nova when she's walking, because don't forget, guys, it is just plastic, right? If she falls or falls down 1 step, you could very well be in surgery mode, as you've seen me do in several of my videos, and disassembling, reprinting, all that fun stuff. So be very careful when you're operating her. What else did I want to mention? Yes, you can see my MP3 player is not in right now. It is ready to go. I'm just finishing up printing my holder. And then, yeah, the wiring is so awesome, especially now that we have all those components in the back panel, no more in the hood. That makes wiring pretty cool. There's just a couple of harnesses that pass right through. One goes underneath for power, and this one comes up here for all the components. Same thing with the head. We got one wiring harness for all of the head components, and that's it. I have gone ahead and placed a new order for my PCB because I did make a couple of tiny changes. Really only one of them is a physical wiring change, so I'm going to step over to the computer in a second and show you that. Those of you with the older version of the board, you'll still just fine to even do what I'm doing. Which I'll also explain in a second. The main thing is, because this was a screw up of mine, I love to share mistakes with you guys so everybody learns from mistakes, right? If you remember, I had a volume JST here. Well, that's meant to hook up to a potentiometer. Dummy me, this is positive, negative, and digital pin 2. For those of you who know about potentiometers, that's useless to us. So basically, I changed that label, and I'm using one of our 2 auxiliary JSTs here for the analog pins for the volume. So I'll explain that on the computer in a second. For those of you who may have tried using the volume and were puzzled why the heck it didn't work, now it does. Mine's all wired up to my pot on the back of her, so I can adjust the volume control from there. And then secondly, to accommodate our new remote control, or I should say to accommodate the NRF module, I did not have pin 13 pulled out to a JST on the teensy, and we need that. So you'll see on the PC now that I added it, and that's the only major change to the board. But for those of you who don't want to update your board, you can, well, sadly, I'm sorry, you will have to just hard solder one wire to pin 13 on the teensy. Not the end of the world. All right, guys, let's take a look at that right now. So I figured it'd be easy to just show you what changed on the board by showing you the board itself. So let me give another shout out to PCB Way as well, because I just placed my order with them, and it's so damn easy, guys. And I upgraded a little bit. I went with gold pads on my purple board this time. I think it looks super cool. And again, it'll be here in less than a week. They're so awesome. I just love this company, and I love their products too. The boards look great, work great, no problems, and this has been my 3rd order at this point. All right, so yeah, let me show you what changed. First, as I explained, the whole volume control, dummy me used a digital pin. So really the only thing that changed here is the label. So this no longer says volume. I've converted it to auxiliary JST. So it's auxiliary D2. So as with my other auxiliary JSTs, if you've not noticed, it goes 5 volt ground, and then in this case D2. 5 volt ground, A9, A8. 5 volt ground, A7, A6. So as I showed on the wiring, I put my volume potentiometer here on A9. Okay, so not a big deal, just a label change there. But this is now version 5.2b because I went ahead and pulled out pin D13 to this JST here. This was a 2-pin JST, just MISO and MOSI pins, but now I've added D13. And reason being is we need D13 for our NRF module for the new remote control, as well as MISO and MOSI. And then also the pin 10 and 9 from the PS2 JST connector. So if you're going to use the new remote and you have the old board, you unfortunately will have to just wire directly to pin 13 on your teensy, and then use the MISO and MOSI JST, and then these 2 wires from the PS2. So it's a little cumbersome of a wiring, but not a big deal. And then for those of us who are going to use this new board, we'll just have to use this full JST and then these 2 pins also for the NRF module. I left it this way because now it's backwards compatible. If you're not going to use the new remote and you have a PS2, or you care like struggling with that PS2 remote, that JST is still there, still connected as it was, and still will work. You'll just have to switch the code on and off, which I also will support both in the code. Okay, and then also with the NRF module, we do not need to use the 3.3 voltage regulator because we already have 2 power terminals pulled out here that we're not using, that I put all 4 of these are spare. None of them are being used. And I did that deliberately for any additional components we decide to add. So yes, we'll also use one of those in connecting the NRF to Nova. But there you go. It works great. So the only, like I said, the only change was me putting pin 13, pulling that out to a JST. So if you don't feel like upgrading your board, you can just hardwire right to pin 13 on your TC. And then just that labeling change. So yeah. Thanks again, PCB Way. So just before I finished my video, the MP3 holder finished printing. I still have a little bit of work to do on it because this doesn't hold it in there nice and tight, but there's the Pro, all working. So yeah, we're good to go, guys. Everything's back in business. And I highly recommend you guys swap out your MP3 player for this one. If you're not having problems with yours, awesome, but this one gives us a lot more control. It's a lot more reliable, and clearly there's no SD card and such, so, and I think I mentioned it's like $8. So, there we go. And lastly, while I have her open, just to reiterate again about being careful watching my videos to help you assemble things. And this is what I was just explaining. You could see my PCB is over here, right? It's L-shaped, and my buck converter is here. If you look at Jordan's assembly view, which I'll link in the description below, you will see it's opposite way. So you can also see that I had to gouge the hell out of my chassis wall so that I could access my USB port, because the hole really belongs over here. Same thing with the Nano. So yeah, again, with the stampings that have been put on the pieces that show orientation, you should not have a problem. Just be careful. Don't ever ask yourself, well, why did Chris put it that way? Just say, well, Chris is a little daft sometimes, and leave it at that. Follow the assembly and you should be good to go. My next goal now is clearly to finish up the remote, and we're almost there. This is just me testing the OLED. That's why you saw battery fail. So yeah, I'm gonna get the remote done in the coming days, and then she'll really be walking around for us. I'm so excited. Thanks to everybody's help with testing and new parts and designing and tweaking things, and people's feedback, input, and the support, and even, you know, affiliate link purchases and PCB board purchases, all that fun stuff. It's kept this project alive, guys. As you can see by my pile of PLA that I just showed you, it's been quite a process. Working with Jordan, I've realized a lot of things. Firstly, she hasn't been on the ground since May because I've been screwing around with plastics. I had a little breakdown there for a while, almost bailed on the project, and I've been working on the remote for quite a while, past several weeks. And yeah, we're actually coming up on, well, it's still a couple of months away, but almost a year we've been working on this project. So I definitely want to get her finished, and guess what? She's pretty much there. We get that remote control finished, I get back to software for a little while, and yeah, then we can have fun with it, guys. Take it where we want. You guys have a lot of ideas for sensors and other design things, and actually a moving head even somebody was working on, Dog, and I wish he would come back to Discord. We miss you, Dog. Get back here, buddy. Otherwise, yeah, hats off to everybody. Much appreciated. Like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.